Hello guys, welcome to the Russian Football News Predictions League preview for round 22. So we got underway last weekend. A lot of expectation, and in a lot of cases the expectation fell flat, to be quite honest. Only 11 goals across the 8 matches, and 4 of them came in one game. There were some shocks, there were some big fixtures, but other than a little bit of shuffling at the top end of the table, not a great deal has really changed. But anyhow, we'll go through. Pardon me. I'll mention each team as we go through their. We go through their fixtures, what they did last week. But one little notice just to put out, in case people are still wondering about the Predictions Cup. Now, this did start last weekend, but it was the preliminary round. We had 18 people. Now, of course, if you have a knockout, you've got to have a doubling number, so 16 fits into a full round. So we had 4 people play a preliminary round, followed by, not this week, but next week, we'll have the first round proper. So 2 winners from 2 matches, join 14 more to make 16. So if you haven't had a Russian Football News Predictions Cup fixture, don't worry, you've not missed out. It is coming. But anyhow, let's let's crack on with this round. Now, starting off, first game, we have Amkar Perm against Arsenal Tula. Now, this is really not the most thrilling fixture on the surface. Amkar are they just have no idea how to score at the moment. In fact, all season, Amkar have managed 12 goals, 12 in 21 matches. They are quite comfortably the lowest scorers in the league. However, they do have a fairly tight defence, which was proven by the shock result of the weekend. Away to Zenit St. Petersburg, 0-0. 3 red cards in the game. And Zenit, there was some scandal. I didn't quite read the full story, I admit, but Zenit were complaining about the match. They wanted to even replay it. Nikolai Zaitsev, who was sent off towards the end of the game, well, he was shown 2 yellow cards. Technically speaking, he wasn't actually physically shown the red card, but he was sent off. He will be suspended for this week. Anyhow, Amkar did keep a clean sheet. They are at home to Arsenal Tula. Now, Arsenal Tula, they got a injury time winner last weekend, against Akhmat Grozny at home. Artyom Dzyuba got the assist, but didn't have the best of games, but he did get the assist. Ivan Novoseltsev didn't start. Now, Arsenal Tula, away from home, they have conceded 17 goals. Only the bottom 2 have conceded more. Sorry, that's not quite true. Tosna as well has conceded 1 more than them. So, what do we see happening in this game? Quite honestly, I see this being a draw. One other note worthy of mentioning with Amkar as well, by the way, is Gaji Gadzhiev, their long-term coach, very experienced 71-year-old, I believe he is. He resigned. He quit just before the Zenit St. Petersburg game last weekend. Vadim Yevseev has taken over in temporary charge, I believe, till the end of the season. I think this is going to be a draw, and it's not going to surprise you given what I've just mentioned. I'm going to go for 0-0. Unfortunately, as we know, Amkar, well, fortunately, in one sense, I want them to get relegated. I just have a thing about Amkar. They're oxygen thieves in the Russian Premier League. So 0-0 is my prediction for Amkar against Arsenal Tula. Second fixture, we have, Ufa against Anzhi. Now, Ufa, I'm expecting big things of them, and their home form is absolutely excellent. Before last weekend, they'd won the last 5 home games in a row. The thing is, they almost entirely depend on that home form. They've only won 1 game away from home all season. However, that home form has carried them to 7th in the table. They're level on points with Arsenal Tula, and that 6th place, well, unfortunately, I thought it was going to be valuable. Actually, as it turns out, the winner of the Russian Cup which looks very much like being Spartak Moscow. If they already qualify for Europe, so for example, if Spartak qualify for the Champions League or the Europa League through the league system, because the winner of the Russian Cup qualifies for the Europa League group stages directly. Now, I thought it went for 6th place in the league. It doesn't. It goes to the runner-up of the Cup, which could end up being potentially a third-tier side if Avangard Kursk get to the final. Anyhow, what it means is there's nothing to play for in terms of Europe other than simply staying safe. Ufa, they drew 1-1 at home to Dynamo Moscow. They went 1-0 behind, and they don't concede many at home. This week they are playing Anzhi. Anzhi themselves, well, they pardon me, they were the first game back after the winter break. They drew at home with Rubin Kazan. Again, another injury time equalised there, 1-1 that was. So in this game, I've got to be honest, I actually do think Ufa will win this one. I was surprised they didn't manage to beat Dynamo Moscow, but Dynamo have made one or two decent signings. Yevgeny Markov scored on his debut, for example, from Tosno. His 9th of the season, one of the highest scoring Russians in the league. I'm going for a win, home win for Ufa. Right, okay, moving on. Dynamo Moscow at home to Krasnodar. Well, like I say, Dynamo Moscow, they drew 1-1 away at Ufa. Very creditable results. New players are slowly bedding in. There are very few injury problems. Kirill Panchenko hasn't quite got back to match fitness. Doubtful he'll start or feature in this one. Krasnodar, well, they took part in the game that had the most goals. They won 3-1 against Rostov at home. They had a new midfielder, Oleg Shatov, on loan, expensive loan signing, don't forget. I just got a feeling that Dynamo Moscow are going to take points off Krasnodar here. Krasnodar actually moved up to second, thanks to other results. There's only 1 point separating second and fifth at the moment, but Krasnodar are second place, automatic qualification for the group stages of the Champions League as things stand. However, I think they're going to draw this one. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Krasnodar do have Fyodor Smolov, who's back in the goals again. He stayed. So that's what I'm going for. 1-1 in Dynamo against Krasnodar. Tosno at home to Rubin Kazan. Last weekend, Tosno had to travel the longest journey in the Russian Football Premier League, mirroring their temporary city neighbours Zenit, all the way over in Khabarovsk, and they came away with a 1-0 win. I've got to be honest, if SKA can't be beating Tosno, then they really have no hope of staying up. It really is looking grim for SKA. They are 10 points behind even possible safety with only 9 games to go. Great result for Tosno. That lifted them out of the relegation zone. They're still level on points with Dynamo Moscow, who are in the relegation playoff zone. So Tosno, great result for them. Rubin Kazan, they played well away to Anzhi. They took the lead, Evelyn Popov. In fact, they had a completely new midfield. The starting four, Christian Nabor as well, Pavel Mogileviet, as well. So they got a lot of new faces. They look pretty fresh. Oleg Kuzmin even played 90 minutes. No major injury problems. It's going to sound strange. Tosno have not been as good at home as you'd expect them to be. I think Rubin will win this one. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win away from home. I've got a slightly better feeling about Rubin after their winter transfer window now. So 1-0 to Rubin is my call. Rostov at home to Zenit. Rostov did lose away, like I mentioned, to Krasnodar. They conceded 3-1 it was, away in a relatively local derby, so it's not like they have the excuse of having to travel a long distance. Zenit, well, they will be absolutely fuming. Well, they are fuming, of course. Roberto Mancini was fuming afterwards. He was very sarcastic about the referee, fairly unfairly, unjustly, I think. The 2 red cards shown to his players for Domenico Crescito and Alexander Yerokhin were 2 yellow cards for Crescito. Yerokhin, I can't remember if it was a straight red, 2 yellows, I think it was. Anyhow, they're without those 2. However, they will be fuming, absolutely fuming. Now, they do have Europa League commitments. They're in Germany at the moment, in fact. They will be playing Red Bull Leipzig on Thursday, tomorrow, as I record this. So there's a lot pointing towards them losing. For some reason, I think they're going to have a furious backlash. I'm not sure they're going to win in Germany, but I don't think that will matter. Mancini he'll just be livid with them. I actually think they are going to get a result. Their away form has not been good. They've not won in about 5 or 6 consecutive away games. There's a lot pointed towards them not picking up points, but that's just what I'm going with. I feel they will have a reaction to their poor result against Amkar. Akhmat Grozny at home to CSKA Moscow. Akhmat, they lost, very, very unfortunate, to a fairly controversial late goal to Arsenal Tula. CSKA, they have European commitments too, so I think what we're going to have to go for here is, I think it's going to be 1-0 to CSKA. They've got the pressure on. They know that there are some tough fixtures for some of their rivals. That's what I'm going to go for. And then we have Spartak at home to SKA Khabarovsk. Well, Spartak at home to SKA Khabarovsk is about the easiest game to call. The only question is how many goals. Spartak are missing a lot of defenders. Taski, Botaketi are injured. But I'm going to go for a 3-0 to Spartak Moscow in that one. And finally, Ural at home to Lokomotiv Moscow. Last game of the week because Loko have Europa League commitments. I think, honestly, Ural have drawn the most games at home this season. They are hard to beat at home. There's a bit of, I'm not saying there's still a lot of bad blood, but there was the Russian Cup last season. Lokomotiv beat Ural, 4 red cards at the end of that game. However, Eric Bikfalvi is a doubt for Ural. That's a big miss for them creatively. But Loko might be without Ari and Eder. I'm going to go for a draw, and I'm going to go for 1-1. Thanks very much, guys, for joining me, and good luck this week.